Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of my podcast, A One-on-One Conversation. 안녕하세요, 여러분. 제 이름은 손원입니다. And today's guest is my friend Lilia.
Hi.
You? Right. Wait, hold on. Where's the script? Oh, yeah. Wait. This is my guest, Lilia.
Hi.
I'll have a sound effect. Okay. I guess the main thing is, could you, give a brief introduction, like an elevator pitch to the audience?
Okay, so elevator pitch of who I am. I am a first-year master's student here at UB. I am studying earth science education for 7 through 12, so I'd be certified to teach middle and high school earth science. My background is geology, and I am a cat mom. Yay. She's 10 months old and absolutely insane. She's a joy, but then she'll run around the house at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, it's okay. I'm trying to sleep, but thank you for that.
That was me at one point when I was like maybe 10 years old at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Running around your house 3 o'clock in the morning singing the song of your people.
Meow, meow. Oh, like the Nyan cat, like meow, 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 meow.
No, just she'll run from one end of the house to the other, just it's like, I didn't need that, but great, thanks. Daughter, 6 o'clock in the morning when she's hungry, she'll just run at me and be like, Mom, I'm hungry. And cat.
Okay. Well, I guess just to looks like we got like our jokes going up a little bit. So I guess to make you feel a little bit more comfortable, I guess.
Okay.
I have some dad jokes. Obviously, I sent you in the script, and and they're themed towards the thing that you like.
Oh boy, here we go.
And you said earlier that you were a teacher, and so joke number 1.
Uh-oh.
Why do teachers fart in class?
I don't know why.
Because they're not private tutors. That got you? No, go me.
It's a pity laugh, honey. It's a pity laugh.
Why was the cross-eyed teacher fired?
I don't know. Why?
Because he couldn't control his pupils. They got you too. What do you call a teacher without students?
I don't know.
Happy.
I like that one. I like that one. It's like, oh, finally some peace and quiet.
That got you. So, what's a teacher's favorite nation?
What?
Expla-nation.
Makes sense.
And you said you're a geology background, and so I got another one. Are plateaus the forest form of flattery?
Why? What? I don't get it.
Flattery.
Oh.
Got you.
Yeah, that took me a second. Oh, I have a good one.
You have one for me? Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
What did the father buffalo say to his son on his way to school?
What did the father buffalo say to his son on his way to school? Go right ahead.
Bye, son.
Bye, son.
Get it? Because
I do.
Yeah.
It's funnier too because the fact that my last name is Sun too, so it's very coincidental. Did you plan that for me?
No, I didn't. I thought it was funny because when I went to field camp, we saw a huge bison farm. So
tasty.
Actually, bison steaks are pretty good.
You ate.
I've actually had bison.
So you saw them like, oh, look at them, lovely grazing.
It was just a few weeks ago. It was just a few weeks ago they were on sale at Wegmans.
All right, looks like we got some laughs going.
Never a dull moment with me.
So I guess like a brief introduction for the audience. I guess it could be introduction. Could you talk about how we first met?
Physics lab. That's all I have to say. Physics lab.
Jake Handerhan.
Yes.
We know you're out
there. I was the Lilia that was talked about in that video. That's me. names to faces to names.
Yeah, that's Jake. Jake, you know who you are.
Actually, how we met was, I'm sorry to say this and I'm sorry to let you know in this context, but you guys are my last option to sit with. Most of the benches were taken, so I just kind of figured I'd go over and sit with you guys.
But we were the table closest to the door. So when you're done with the lab, you can easily run out to Russell, even though he only waited for you one time.
Actually, no, he waited for me
Multiple times?
Yeah.
I wasn't checking out the door then. I was too focused on failing the lab. I didn't do too well on the flab final. Did you?
Oh, I didn't do too well on any of those finals.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I thought, like, those kind of those rare stories of like college students, and they just F around, and then the last third of their semester, they just turn it up, and then boom, they somehow succeed the semester.
Nope, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that did not happen either for me.
Did not happen at all.
So so in order to prepare for this podcast, as I always do with all my guests, y'all know how I do. I research. And the main thing especially in this age, it's social media is basically sometimes a dictionary of who we are as people.
Mm-hmm.
So but then I feel like there's more. And you and I did discuss this over the Facebook message. You guys are kind of late to the podcast. It actually started like 20 minutes earlier via Facebook message.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I sent her the outline, how do I explain this? It was mainly...
I immediately started critiquing. And it was more of like critiquing myself, because you were bringing up stuff that I'm like, oh my god, that stuff needs to be dead and buried, and needs to stay dead and buried. There ain't no necromancy happening up in here.
Okay, so my first question from most of my guests so far, what I actually did this as a curveball now because it wasn't in the outline, so therefore you did not see it.
Ooh, shocker. Plot twist.
So the question is, what doesn't your social media tell us about you?
I'm really boring.
Are you?
It can be.
I mean, that's everybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, I started my Instagram in the hopes that I would travel a lot more. And there are currently moths living in my wallet. So the quintessential open the wallet and a little moth flies out. That's me. I have no travel finances. But
this is her first Instagram post. I'll put an edit.
That picture was not posted at the same time. So that was it was a couple years late post that I just happened to have then. Decided to post that in the hopes that I would travel. But
2016.
Yeah,
that
picture was taken probably 2 or 3 years before that.
That was a year before I graduated high school. What a throwback.
That was the year after I graduated high school. I'm older than him, by the way.
I mean, some people tell me like, oh, you're 20? Oh, no. Actually, yesterday, this Korean kid I met, so the way Koreans do their age is instead of Americans, you turn 1. But for Koreans, I don't know about other Asians, but you start at 1. You don't start like 0. Because the 9 months that you're in the womb, that's when it starts. So when you come out, you're already like 1, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm technically 20. If I'm turning 21 this year in America, which I am 2 weeks from now, what was it? And then in Korea, I will be 22 actually. Mm-hmm. So then when I pointed that out to this Korean kid, and he's like, "Oh wait, you're my superior actually." So he was so surprised because I act so immature to the point where people are so stunned the fact that I'm actually not as young as I act I am. That doesn't make any sense.
No, that makes total sense. That you're actually older than you act.
I'm older than I act. Okay, there you go. And then whenever people meet my sister, they're like, "Wait, you're the younger one?" And they're stunned the fact because she's way more academically and just quote unquote put together than I am, because she's more stable in terms of academics. She gets scholarships, all that jazz. You guys know how she is in the other podcast I did, but age is such a deception.
It can be.
So, where is it? The one thing I found pretty interesting was mainly the Pinterest. Actually, that gave me a lot
Okay.
more than your Instagram, actually, because
Yeah, I don't post as much on Instagram as I not even would prefer, but just not everybody needs to know everything.
actually that can actually revolve to another question, like knowing so much about you to the public, where to the point where everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I know you just said you don't post that much on Instagram, but one question I did have was, it's not in the outline, so she doesn't know this. It's what do you feel, what makes you so open to posting about your man?
Oh,
Because what you just said about the not everybody has to know my life.
well, no, I mean, not everybody needs to know where you are and what you're doing at every second.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem posting about Russell because
She said it for me.
because I mean, he's part of my life,
Mhm.
and I mean, it would make sense to post about him. Because if I didn't, it's like, but you say you have a boyfriend, but you don't post about him. That's weird.
So is it almost like a verification that when people post about their significant others, then like a validity in some sense?
I feel like it's to each his own. Like everybody posts how they want.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have friends that I've even unfollowed friends, I'm sorry, that just post way too much, and like I never post on my stories unless I really want to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't need to post my cereal, and I don't need to post like where I'm going, and it's like, come on guys, I thought we got away from that with Facebook. I thought Facebook is just inundated with memes now. So I mean, if he shows up, he shows up, and right now it's mostly been about my cat. Because I mean, she's been our main focus. We haven't really gone anywhere or done anything so thrilling. I mean, even then, it's like I like to just keep some stuff to myself.
With the amount of attention that your cat requires, because due to its young age, as well as the fact that it's an animal, so you don't necessarily understand what it wants sometimes, does Russell have to compete with it for attention from you?
No, because a lot of the times we're just like, we would sit on the couch together and then she would come up and hang out with us. Cats actually, now owning a cat, cats are a lot less work than dogs.
Really?
Yeah, they really are.
Can you give me a couple of reasons?
You don't have to take them out every day. They have a litter box. She has little plush mouse toys. We call them her mousies. So we literally just try and rake them out from underneath the stove and then throw them on the floor, and she goes nuts for them. So it's really just whenever we try to distract her, we just throw her a toy and she's fine. It's not like dogs you have to give constant attention to. Although I have absolutely nothing against dogs. We actually are talking about getting a puppy soon. Well, when we move. But having a cat, they're not as much work.
Who you were prior to getting like the name? What's the name of the cat?
Octavia.
Before getting Octavia, and after getting Octavia, did you learn anything about yourself in that that point of comparison?
I learned how to coexist with an animal.
Oh.
I learned how to coexist with an animal. Like, there's a lot of idiosyncrasies that I used to have regarding, like, everybody else having a cat. Like, when I've had friends that have a cat, or my mom has too, like, the way I treat them was not as... It didn't vibe with her. Like, I felt like I was starting to play a little too aggressively with her. We do to an extent when she's acting utterly insane, but just the way that I learned how to exist with her. she taught me like how she likes to be picked up, how she likes to be played with, the kind of attention she likes. She doesn't like being moved from person to person. So like if Russell's holding her and then I take her, she wriggles and then she jumps down. Or like if he needs to stand up and she's on his lap and I'm sitting next to him and we try to move her over onto my lap, she gets up and wiggles off. So she doesn't like being moved from person to person. So
did you play favorites with Russell?
I used to think so, but it changes. It changes depending on who gives her more attention, who's home. So, yeah.
Regarding animals, though, you know what's crazy to me? I didn't know that female animals, like specifically mammals, I didn't know they get periods, actually. Because one of the art teachers here, she has a golden retriever.
Yeah.
And one day she had a diaper on. I was like, wait, what? And then one of my classmates was like, yo, she got a period. I was like, wait, hold on. Hold on.
Was she fixed or no?
She wasn't.
That makes sense then. Because she's still going through a reproductive cycle, which is what they all are. So I mean, we're no different from whales or anything else, any other warm-blooded mammal that carries live offspring.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Biology in the future.
No.
No?
I don't like organic stuff.
You like rocks.
I like rocks. My thing is rocks and dead things, like fossils. Rocks and dead things. That's my life.
They teach us a lot to the living too, as well, which is kind of very unique.
Oh yeah, like we see a lot of differences with like avians now versus dinosaurs. Like we're starting to see that velociraptors were actually feathered.
That explains the chicken.
Chickens actually are the closest relative to the T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about like...
Yeah, you strip away the feathers and they have the same kind of body structure.
Because I've been watching a video. It's Kyle, this mean rooster, and he's just an a-hole to his owner. For whatever reason. He's just walking by. He's giving him food, but yet Kyle goes beyond. I'll have a video or something like that. I don't know. And then Kyle's just attacking his owner despite the food is right there. And
yeah.
And I see the comments, and it's like, Kyle's velociraptor has been unleashed or something like that.
His inner velociraptor.
I'm like, and then I come here, I'm just like, well, I feel stupid now for believing those comments.
But yeah, we're actually seeing the structure. Actually, the movie we just recently watched the movie The Good Dinosaur, and I was very surprised to see that the velociraptors in the movie had feathers. And I'm like, hey, that's a scientific fact. That's cool.
So Disney did the research.
Apparently. Which is interesting.
Actually, real quick, I actually wanted to mention this when you were specifically about Octavia, because she's just a star of this podcast right now. We all know that, even though she's not even here.
She's wonderful.
Does having an animal like that give you applicable lessons to actual parenthood when you become a mom one day and all that stuff?
Patience, actual discipline.
Actual discipline? What's that?
So it's difficult comparing an animal to a child. For sure. Because children can actually respond to you and they don't just, oh, you don't like me? Okay, bye.
I thought you were like, actually to me, I'm like, all right, I guess we'll end the podcast.
No,
I'm sorry.
No. But I think disciplining children is significantly different. But the idea of making sure that their needs are met and that they're happy and healthy is the same across the board.
Then in terms of discipline pertaining to your profession as a teacher right now, as well as intention to become like a full-on... Wait, what's after high school and middle school? Is that just the end goal for you as a teacher? Just staying in high school levels and all that? Or maybe college in the future?
No, I'm actually thinking of administration. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot you told me that one
principal,
time.
being a principal and maybe administration.
So pertaining to the disciplines that this profession requires, then the way you discipline your students right now, would it be the same with your kids?
Oh, okay. So discipline as a substitute teacher is out the window. It is not possible
Really?
because students, I don't know what it is. It's just a inherent thing to almost disrespect the substitute teacher.
That's right.
It's not taught generation to generation. It's just inherently known. And it's like, how do kids now, compared to when I was in middle school, know that, oh, it's a substitute, we can do whatever we want?
Oh.
They don't care.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, we don't have to listen to you, blah, blah, blah. Discipline as a teacher definitely takes respect from both ends of the student and the teacher. Like, you have to have a good connection with your student to know it's like, hey, you messed up. You need to dial it back and chill out. Otherwise, there are going to be severe consequences that you aren't going to be too friendly with.
What was your attitude towards substitute teachers and then being yourself one as now?
I was never a bad student. I really didn't care. So my experience now is trying to not exactly just be a substitute teacher, but I'm really trying to build my experience as an actual teacher. So trying to exact respect out of the students by giving it, it's difficult because they just don't care. They see a substitute. I've gotten it almost every single time I'm a substitute. It's like, oh, cool, there's a substitute today, and I'm like, cool. I'm not a floor mat. I'm not a mat, guys. You can't just walk all over me. Thanks, though.
Is that like the number one challenge for most teachers, or no, people who are just thinking about becoming teachers in the future? Is that the number one challenge that they're gonna face?
What, discipline?
Or just the pursuit of respect?
Oh yeah,
both ends.
Definitely. In order to gain respect, you have to give respect. So teachers, veteran teachers, sometimes tend to just expect respect without giving it out to their students. And there are some teachers that I've seen that it's like, you need to go back and learn some lessons. So one of my classmates was even talking about one of their colleagues, and they were saying how one of the students was complaining because it's like, the number one question from students really is, how do I respect someone I don't like? And respect has nothing to do with liking someone. It's just, you have to understand that at the time they're your superior, and you have to give them respect, even though it's like, I hate you to your core, but I still respect you because you're my teacher. And the same thing goes with teachers towards students. It's like, there may be some students that really grind on you to your bone, and it's just like, I really, really, really don't like you, but I'm not going to let you know, and I'm going to give you the respect that you deserve. You good?
Students are such buttholes sometimes.
Yep, they are.
Then what do you say when you were as a student? How do you compare to the students of today, besides the social media and phones and all that stuff?
Oh, they're a lot more disrespectful.
Oh, they're more disrespectful.
Lot more disrespectful. Yeah. I mean, it's across the board. Like I said, liking, like, how do I respect someone if I don't like them? Students don't like being disciplined. So they equate discipline with a teacher being mean. So they're like, oh, they yelled at me, so I'm not going to like them anymore. When really it was, you need to sit down and do your work, otherwise you're out of here. So I actually went to a private Catholic school up until 8th grade.
Did you ever get beat with a ruler?
No.
Because I've heard Catholic schools doing that kind of stuff.
No.
Or maybe it was old school then. Sorry.
It was way old school.
I'm sorry.
No, it was way old school. But in high school, the amount of respect that you gained from the students depended on who you were as a teacher. Like I had a lot of really good teachers. I had a lot of really bad teachers. There was one teacher that just hated every student that walked into the classroom, and you just knew. And it's like, you don't like us, so we're not going to like you. And we're not going to get along at all this year. And then there are some teachers that are just, my earth science teacher in high school was actually my inspiration for where I am right now.
I was going to say your best friend for a quick second. Because I've heard students that sometimes their teachers, their only friend in their classroom is their teacher sometimes.
Yeah. And that's a challenge in and of itself, because it's like you have to maintain a professional relationship with your students.
Facts. Yep.
But at the same time, it's like you have to be someone who they can come to if they have an issue. But you still have to draw the lines. Like, I can be your friend, but at the same time, I'm first and foremost your teacher. So,
since this is intangible. Since this is intangible, classes and paperwork that can't really help to prepare you for the actual teaching.
No.
It doesn't. Yeah, I thought so.
No, it doesn't. They can teach you all the tools that you may possibly need, but the best tool that you really can have is experience in the classroom. So,
what about good people skills in general, like social skills and all that stuff?
Oh, definitely. I really feel like the curriculum needs to incorporate like even a public speaking course into the course load for up and coming teachers, because public speaking is never easy for anyone.
Is it easy for you?
No.
Oh, you don't like it?
No, I'm not saying I don't like it, but it's not something that I could get up in a room of 150 people and give a lecture.
On geology.
Yeah. But being able to teach a lesson is completely different than being able to just read out of a textbook. So you have to be able to interact and engage with your students in a way that doesn't make you stand up there and like just drenched in sweat.
Then could there be some valuable lessons that teachers can take from stand-up comedians?
Yeah, being able to laugh at yourself.
Oh, laugh at yourself. I didn't think about that.
A lot of teachers, I don't think have much confidence to say, hey, I really don't know that. We'll find the answer. So they just kind of shut it down. So being able to have the confidence to admit that you don't know everything really kind of makes you a little more human in the eyes of students. So being able to kind of just laugh at yourself like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that in front of all of you. Okay, moving on.
I had this my senior year of high school. Shout out to Miss Dorsa. She just said whatever she wants. She's like, I'm hungry. I should go to 7-Eleven or something, right, guys? I was like, me too. And then when you just said like it was saying that type of behavior, the humility it requires for a teacher just to sometimes make fun of him or himself or herself, it kind of closes the gap. It makes it more human to a lot of students.
It makes it less of, I am the ultimate force in the classroom and you will listen to me regardless of anything, to more of, hey, we're learning and working through this together.
How do you pertain like to each, like let's say how many kids on average in the classroom do you teach then?
About 25. 20
to
25.
Okay. So let's say 25 in this case.
Okay.
How do you pertain to each kid's individual needs? So in the matter of like how long is each period?
So in
class period.
It depends on the school. Where I went to high school, we had 4 80-minute classes.
Ooh, okay.
But it was divided up into 4 separate days. So it was a 4x4 schedule.
Okay.
The middle school in that district goes by periods. So then those are 40 minutes each.
Not too far from mine.
Yeah.
39 for me.
Yeah. Actually, they're 41 minutes. I don't know where they get.
Ooh,
Yeah, I
1
know. I
minute.
don't get where that extra minute comes
Such
from.
an ugly number, 41.
I know. It's like, just make them even numbers. Come on, guys.
I forgot what's the science behind that. Like, there's like a legit people have like, no, sorry, let me see. There's a legit pet peeve with ugly numbers like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I don't either. But, what were you talking about?
Respect! It's a Parasite reference for those people. Sorry. You ever watch Parasite?
No, but I want to. It sounds really
I'll send you a link
Okay.
after this podcast.
Okay.
It was what was it? Oh yeah, pertain to each individual kid's needs.
Oh yeah.
in
Oh
the
my gosh.
25
That
class.
is the thought process going through the entire program that I am in. How do you reach every single student in order to help them succeed? It's tricky because every single student requires something completely different. I want to be able to reach every single student's needs and properly address them in my lessons, but it's not possible.
It's not possible.
It's really not, because you have to get, unfortunately, New York State certification requires you to.
What
Hello,
the heck
lights.
just happened? I will take a break.
Okay.
All right. That was
Okay, now it goes back
was
on.
really weird. Okay.
Yeah, I think if you're off, the movement is off.
All right. We will not take a break. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Go right ahead.
Same thing with the classrooms that I'm sometimes in. It's like there's a motion sensor that it's a power saver. It's a power saving thing.
You must like that. Save the environment, maybe, right?
No, it gets annoying.
Oh.
It's annoying. It's like, hey, I'm sitting here at the desk and the light goes off and I have to like get up and do jumping jacks or something like that to get the lights to go back on. But
I remember those days. Because I was that jumping jacks kid in high school a couple of times.
But being able to reach every student can't always be achievable because New York State requires you to get through so much material in a certain amount of time. But I have another professor who's like time constraints are irrelevant. If you have things that you want to do with your students, you need to do what you need to do with your students in order for them to comprehend and understand rather than just learn regurgitated facts.
How would you balance out, like, do you set a certain amount of hands that you can pick on? Like, I can call on you, and then you have to, like, get on with the unit today and all that stuff. How do you balance that out then? Like saying, hey, Miss P.
Yeah,
I had to go run through it for my Miss P. How about da-da-da-da? And then this kid's like, and then he's like, oh wait, on that, and he's like, all right, sorry guys, we have to keep moving on, and
Going back to what my one professor said, time constraints shouldn't matter.
Ideally,
it's a very unpopular thinking, but teachers are so heck bent on getting through what they need to that they don't stop to really think about what their students are getting through.
Just in case, sorry. I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of stuff that I am learning in my classes now versus when I was in school myself, seeing teachers. It's significantly different. Like, I didn't even think about that before. What? Just going through material, like time constraints shouldn't matter. Like, I never even thought of that. Like, if there are things that you want to do with your students, you should by all means do it.
Ideally, what is a classroom supposed to be like for you with everything we just talked about then? To you.
Mutual respect, obviously. That is something that I would love to start my school years off with. Like, we're going to be friends. This is going to be fun. We're going to do a lot of really cool stuff in this class.
I like that.
But if you cross me, you're gonna get you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. And Miss P is not gonna be your favorite teacher if you cross her. So
So, and including like time constraints and all that stuff, you wish you had all the time in the world to just spew some knowledge out to these kids.
I wouldn't say I wish I had all the time in the world. I would say focusing on what they actually really need to know. Like what kind of things they need to do and the concepts they need to understand makes that trumps everything else. So
That trumps everything else.
My professor did he did an experiment in class on Thursday that took essentially the whole time. It was a 2-hour and 40-minute class, so it essentially took the whole time for us to do. It was thinking about why, like what. So it was what is the hottest part of a candle? So he had a taper in the classroom.
What is the hottest part of a candle, guys? What is the hottest part of a candle?
Actually, it's the middle where it burns the brightest.
The blue part?
Actually, no.
Damn it.
So you know how a candle kind of has a teardrop shape and
Yes.
then it kind of arcs in the middle and it kind of looks hollow or
Yes.
darker in the middle? That is actually the hottest part.
Huh.
Figured out by one of the quote-unquote bad kids in the classroom. He did an experiment where he tried figuring out how long it took for a piece of paper to burn in specific parts of the candle.
Okay.
So he would count to 5 in the bottom part of the candle and then put it out because it didn't burn too quickly. Counted to like 2 or 3, pulled the paper out and put it out in the middle of the candle. And then at the top, it only went to like 4 seconds. So essentially, he proved that in the middle part of the candle is where it burned the hottest. We don't focus on concepts and understandings like that in a classroom. That whole process, what we were doing, took probably hour-ish and a half, aside from discussion and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought this is a candle.
No.
For an hour straight.
From
Guys.
Starting with groups thinking about what the hottest part is to using a thermometer, kind of a thermometer wire that would test like the temperature gradations, and then moving on to that one kid's explanation. That can't be taught. That kind of thing, if you just tell them the hottest part of the candle is the middle and they're like, okay, whatever, we're moving on. My professor had said that students have the ability to come up with thoughts and ideas just like that, but we don't allow them to. We just basically tell them what we think they need to know. And not even us as teachers, what New York State thinks they need to know. And do they consult teachers? No, they don't.
Oh, they don't?
No, they don't.
Oh.
They just is like, okay, so our students need to know this. That's good.
So a bunch of boomers could be telling us what to do.
That's exactly what it is. That is what educational policy in
Okay, boomer.
That is what educational policy looks like in Washington, D.C. There are no teachers that are consulted, because if there were teachers consulted, then entire education system across the board of the United States will look completely different. But that's a conversation saved for another day over a really good cup of coffee.
I don't even drink coffee.
I do. But
you just drink coffee? I know you have a cup. Oh no, that's tea.
No, it's coffee.
It's coffee?
Yeah.
Okay. I smelled it earlier. I was like, is that tea?
But
I know that sounds a little weird. I'm sorry, guys.
But no, if we allowed students to really think, then I think our students will learn significantly more and significantly better. So
coming here to college and high school and just middle school and elementary school all my life, I was thinking that to do well in school is only about the grade. But then the real true purpose of school is to learn a skill or just learn
Learning itself is a skill.
Good point. But then, do you think a lot of students have the misconception that it's just about the grade? It's not about it's just about that fat one letter that's gonna dictate my future and all that stuff.
100%.
Oh, there you go.
Definitely. That's what a lot of test anxiety comes from.
Oh yeah.
Is the fear of the grade. So, I feel like if we give more explanation of what that grade means, in not exactly the quality of their work, but how much. It's going to sound redundant. It's like the quality of their work versus how much effort they put in.
Okay. So what should it be then in that situation for you? So
my quality of work is I do the best work under pressure.
Okay.
I had a paper scare that I had a paper due.
Paper scare.
Actually, when I called you up and said, "Hey, I can't make it to coffee."
Yeah.
I had a paper scare. I was crunching to work on a paper that my friend then told me, "Oh, hey, this is actually due in a week."
Oof.
I got an 88 on that paper, and nice. I crunched in a couple hours. I got
One
a paper.
day.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I crunched on a paper that was due on Sunday that night that I didn't realize. I still haven't gotten the grade back for it, but I felt like I did a really good job.
Nice.
So the amount of time that you put into a paper or any other assignment doesn't reflect the quality of the work.
Okay.
So you can spend days on a paper and get a 70. You can crunch in a day.
Oh, it feels so defeated after that.
And you can get like a 98. Like I remember crunching to get a paper done for one of my Asian history courses. That actually the professor was really cool.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah, he was really cool.
Was he Asian himself?
No, he wasn't actually.
Okay, moving on.
But I got a really good grade on that paper.
Did you? That's
yeah,
solid.
I did. I think I got like a 96 on that paper.
Nice.
Yeah, and
number grade.
Yeah. So giving better explanation of what grades actually are compared to just slapping a number or a letter on a page makes students feel better about how they did. So I really like the idea of more invested feedback, even though it takes more time on the teacher's behalf. Giving in-depth feedback into not exactly what they did wrong, but where they could improve. Like on a short answer test, like I feel like I would end up making all of my tests short answer tests because I'm testing not the amount of information that they can. So multiple choice tests to me are memorization, regurgitation.
Yeah,
that is literally all it is. I was
waiting for that moment.
No,
right
I
now.
hate multiple choice because it's literally you have a 1 in 4 chance of guessing it right. Memorization and regurgitation was how I passed biology over the summer, and I learned nothing. I could tell you nothing about the human body from that biology course. But making short answer questions gives students the amount of time and the ability to explain not the answer in kind of this is a blah, blah, blah. This is what happened in blah, blah, blah. It gives them the ability to explain how much they know about that concept or that topic versus what a teacher is looking for in the right answer.
I've gotten conditioned because this is from like middle. This is stemming from all those tests I've taken from middle school till now, and maybe elementary school. Sorry, I hate the short answer questions
because teachers give you a formula that you need to abide by because they are looking for a specific answer.
Oh yeah.
They're looking for a specific answer. Like I can, like, if you always remember the short answer questions on like worksheets, rephrase the question.
Oh, I have to?
No, I'm saying it's like you always have to rephrase the question. So it's
okay,
like, what is a something or something? Something is.
Give me a question.
So I can answer this more than you can. So it's like, what is a fossil? A fossil is a.
I think I got
Okay,
this.
what
I got this. It is.
Even right off the bat, you're answering a science question wrong when you say it. Science questions, when I was taught, always have to be so specific. You have to rephrase a question. So it would be a fossil is. But you see what I mean? The teachers are asking for formulated questions.
So
They're not.
subtle.
Exactly. They're not testing what their students actually know. They're just testing if they understand the material. So one student can understand the material completely different than another. But if you expect the same answer from both of them, one's going to get 100 and one's going to fail. So giving detailed feedback, saying, okay, you're on the right track. Try thinking of it this way, or try thinking about this as well, rather than, no, you're wrong, here's the right answer. There are things that are cut and dry, but there are other things it's like we need to understand that students understand things differently. They comprehend and think completely differently than we expect them to.
Do you think technology could be a factor for that then? Especially the fact that we're using programs like Kahoot. I don't know if you use Kahoot yet on in your classes. Have you?
No, I haven't, just because I'm a substitute.
But you know what I'm talking about, though.
Oh, yeah, I
Okay,
do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And stuff like that, then. Because I wasn't doing that in elementary school and all that stuff.
Oh, no.
Until I hit high school.
If you allow it to be anonymous answering, then I think students are going to be more honest.
Oh, yeah.
But if they see their friends' answers, they're just going to be silly and goofy and be dorks, rather than actually giving an answer about what they think.
But wouldn't the spirit of competition be a factor for that? Because when I did that in high school, my name was clearly on there, and it's like, and then once you answer it, and then and then the results come up, and then everyone's like, "Oh, Juan did this," and then you feel maybe better about yourself in that situation.
Competition is a big thing. I mean, it's animalistic nature to be competitive.
Yeah, it is.
But competition doesn't necessarily mean you're learning better than your classmates. It just, that also propagates test anxiety. Like, oh, she got a 98 on that test. I only got an 80. Oh my God, I gotta do better if I want to beat her. So
it's a double-edged sword sometimes, isn't it? It is. With that. There's positives for sure, but there's negatives. I see that for sure.
Sometimes competition can boost students' drive to do things. So it's like, oh, I want to really strive to do better than my sister or my friend or my brother in this class because the teacher had them before, or they're in the same class. So it's like, I want to do better than them. So I'm going to study harder. I'm going to learn I'm going to understand better. I'm going to learn better. I'm going to get better grades. So that may play a part, but students that compare against like their friends or something like that may feel worse about themselves.
Because they're like not the ugly duckling, but you get like the lower end of that group.
Yeah.
Out of 5, you're number 5.
Oh, you only got an 80? Oh, I got like an 89. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so condescending.
It is. Condescension is so bad within students. It's crazy. But going back to what I said about grading, giving students more feedback about what they wrote it's going to help them in the long run.
Actually, this does relate to your profession right now. Actually, it's just one thing I was curious about, and it was on the outline I sent you, so she knows about it, guys. This is gonna be the running joke.
Depending on how much I remember.
How are teachers dealing with the coronavirus?
I haven't.
Like, no policies have been introduced to you guys or anything like that?
To us, no. But within the district, there are within the So I'm a substitute in 3 different districts. I substitute in Sweet Home, Williamsville, and West Seneca. And West Seneca put out a warning to like parents and students and teachers universally. So it's in from elementary school up to the high schools. Just basically giving an outline of what's going on, how to prepare yourself, how to prevent like, dare I say it, ingestion of the virus, because it's not airborne but transmitted through sneezes and coughs and stuff like that. So touching contaminated surfaces. The prevention of the coronavirus is the same prevention as the flu.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands.
Or carry some hand sanitizer with you.
Cover your mouth. Hand sanitizer that's 60% or higher.
What do you mean by 60%?
60% alcohol.
Oh.
60% alcohol content or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch contaminated surfaces. Disinfect highly trafficked surfaces. Phones, doorknobs.
Sinks.
Yeah. Sink faucet handles.
Ooh, the little handle that you pull down, the little urinal for guys' bathrooms.
That too.
It gets really dirty.
That too.
Because you guys are weird out there sometimes. Because these fools don't know how to aim, man. The little, and not even just the freaking urinal. It's like the little toilet seat. So I'm like afraid to like grab the thing. Thank God there's automatic toilets, but then like I don't do the.
Use your foot.
I use foot. That's right. And she's not even the guy, and she knows it. There you go. All right. I'm sorry.
But yeah, prevention of the coronavirus is the same prevention as the flu. And I think what makes it worse right now in the media is mass hysteria.
Woo.
Oh, yeah. Mass hysteria is the worst propagator of news, of illness, of anything. The minute 4 or 5 people start panicking about it, you're done. It's over.
Because I've been seeing, especially particularly towards Asian Americans here, I'm sure you probably read it in the news and all that, there's been a lot of xenophobia, especially here in America and like throughout the world. If has it, and if it hasn't, if it does occur in front of you, how would you deal with it as a body of teachers as well as an individual? If you witness that right there towards an Asian student.
First of all, information. Informing people of what is actually going on, quelling ignorance is a big thing. People right now, I hate to say it, but I think the xenophobia thing is heightened by the location.
China.
Yeah. So people are just afraid.
Because it's not different. It's just not America, or what do you mean by that?
Because
a Chinese reputation, maybe?
I think it's just assumption that it's like, oh, if you're from an Asian country, you must have it.
Or you're just dirtier compared to us Americans.
No, I think with the corona, in relation to the coronavirus.
Oh, just corona. Okay, I thought you meant like the stereotype in general.
Just the coronavirus right now, especially, is just, it's like, okay, first of all, Italy is top as a third on the list of locations right now, and I don't see people freaking out about Italy, but I think it's just because it started in China, people are scared. So
you know what part just saddens me? I can't go back to visit my family in Korea because it's the second highest most cases. Is that even the right wording? You get the point, though.
Yeah.
Is that it has a second highest? No, how would I say it in that situation? Second
highest rank of
corona
cases.
Okay, I get the point.
Yeah. Second highest risk.
A friend of mine I spoke to yesterday. He's Korean as well. He was really concerned if he can go back because due to visa issues, potentially, as well as in Korea, you have to serve in the military for 2 years. So how is that going to affect? And also, can he graduate on like 4 years and all that stuff? And then one other thing that I was very stunned about. My friend, he's from Wuhan, where the disease supposedly originated from.
Mhm.
He's so afraid of going to a doctor about anything now, because because he's afraid that they'll assume that he's got corona now. And I'm just like, is that how deep the psychological fear goes with this episode, to say the very least, for going
I would
on,
say I would say with doctors, no.
Doctors, no?
You can't be biased if you're a doctor.
Shouldn't.
You shouldn't be biased if you're a doctor. Like if a patient comes to you with any sort of issue, you should look at it frankly with just based on what they're telling you rather than who they are. So doctors should be unbiased. Doctors' offices, immediate care should be completely judgment free. And honestly, I would tell them go. If you're really concerned, go see a doctor. Go to an immediate care or something. They don't care. They're not going to immediately say you can't come in, because I mean,
that happened.
I think the worst they would tell you is, sir, you need to wear a face mask to protect our staff and any other patients that we're seeing right now. If you're concerned that you have it, it's for the protection that we don't spread it.
I wasn't like laughing at her, guys, because like, oh my gosh, some of the memes that you're seeing regarding coronavirus. There's this kid on Reddit. He put a face mask and said, in 2020, in 2020, this is gonna be the hot new trend. Face mask with Nike symbols, Adidas, and they're gonna be. It's
cruel humor. It's cruel humor.
It's cruel humor. That's right. But
situational, unfortunately.
Very situational. That's right. Yeah.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better. I think, and I think it's getting worse right now before it gets better. So, in a few months, I mean, we've got doctors all over the world working on figuring out how it started and how we can inoculate against it.
Inoculate, very interesting word.
Oh yeah, I mean it's another word for vaccinate.
Oops.
Yeah, inoculations, vaccinations, they're interchangeable. But if we've got doctors all around the world working on ways to inoculate people against it and prevent against it, then I think we're on the right track. Right now, it's
rampant.
It is rampant, and I don't know if you've ever played this game. It was very popular a couple years ago.
What's
Plague Inc.
Play what?
Plague Inc. Like you could create your own disease.
I do remember something like that.
Yes, you can create your own disease and transmit it however you want. You can start it in any country and watch how it travels, like how many and it has a timer that goes like months, days, years, and it just goes so quickly that it's like I feel like I'm just in a real life version of Plague Inc. that it's either watching the timer run out on how many people are dying versus how much time it's taking for doctors to find a cure and a vaccine for it. So, and it's all up to chance whether it is treated or it kills everybody on the planet. Because you can also unsponsored, guys. No, there's no sponsor. You can choose how it mutates. You can choose symptoms. You can choose how it's
You're so messed up.
What is that? How it's transmitted, how it's oh, I know that word. How when you resistant.
Oh.
How resistant it is to treatment
Oh my god.
It's scary. I used to play it for fun, and I'm like, now I feel like I'm in that game.
Why does something like that exist in the first place? I remember that. I remember looking at that when I was a student in either high school or middle school.
Mhm.
I cannot remember when specifically. I'm sure people are a little bit fed up with the coronavirus, but one little quick nugget I will say on my behalf. Don't worry, guys. I'll transition to something a little bit more positive. Don't you worry. Are you a bit tired about this coronavirus thing? Or just like I am
I
a
think
little
people
bit
are
annoyed
freaking out
about
too
it.
much about it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, no. Like what? I'm agreeing with what you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not freaking out. Ow. I'm not freaking out what you're saying.
You good?
I hate my funny phone. Okay. Wait, hold on. Okay, I'm back now. Oh, right. We'll take a break.
Cool.
Media really can manipulate us to do multiple things. But however, that's not always a negative thing. It's just pertaining to this situation right now where I don't see too much positivity coming out of this situation. However,
No.
but I'll just tie this into what you love so much. Did watching Disney teach you any good lessons about life?
No, I think Disney just kind of unwinds me.
Oh, it unwinds you.
Yeah, I don't feel like I take any lessons out of it, but I just like watching the movies.
Just pure entertainment and all that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm just like internally right now. I'm just contemplating, to be honest with you guys and her, is like I do have a bunch of thoughts on this coronavirus thing right now, but I don't know if it's like, is it unwise to just keep dwelling on it for the rest of this podcast or something like that? Because one thing I've noticed whenever I do these things and whenever I see other podcasts or just entertainment period, negativity really sells. And that kind of does bother me a little bit,
Yeah,
You
it
notice
should-
that too.
It should
Okay.
bother. I mean, it should bother you if people are using negative aspects to sell something. It's like, what's the point then?
Because I see the YouTube videos about rappers having beefs, and it says million views. I'm like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
because-
even like follow this rapper.
Yeah, people like conflict. I
That's
don't know
what
what it is.
confuses
People
me
like
too.
conflict.
I don't know why people like conflict as well. I mean, because we did talk about this where it was one of our daily talks at Starbucks. Please sponsor me. It was about like I personally needed a clarification of white privilege because the definition is just so skewed or it's just like unclear sometimes, and you gave a very personal answer and from what your experiences and all that. So that I asked that on the on the last podcast with my Asian friend who's half white, half Korean, and then that brought me back to another moment where my sister was like, I need the hard hitting questions, man, the real negative kinds. I'm like, well, not negative, but like I need the hard hitting questions, man. I'm like, why do we need to do negative things for like entertainment or just like the views and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
No, I do know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't like people. Like it's so superficial and all that kind of stuff. And then I try to be as genuine as I can and be on this podcast. But okay, I'll just do my 2 cents real quick. Sorry guys, we're running out of time. It's just and please feel free to like respond to this. I think it's just like the Chinese government is just like it's got so much money and so much influence. how is it that they have not found a definite cure yet? And if they have, why are the rates just continuously going up? From the CDC, from the WHO, right? The World Health Organization.
Yeah.
And it's just like all that money, and you just like, and all this crap's happening in the first place and all that.
I don't know. I think it's a lot to do with the censorship.
Oh, yeah. Censorship. I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah, the huge censorship issue over there.
That's what a lot of the Chinese students tell me. They're like, oh, yeah, it's like a lot of stuff isn't censored here in America. I mean, besides like curse words and like, am I wrong? But, well, I mean, free speech and all that stuff for sure.
Yeah. But making stuff family friendly, they'll still censor stuff like that. But it's not like content is censored. It's just naughty words are censored. That's all.
That's one way to say it. Naughty words. All right. Man. It's great to have you, though. Thank you so much for coming in, though.
May have to do a part 2.
Part 2. She does have a lot to say, and I have a lot to say.
I do. I talk way too much.
It's just that I wish this was my place. However, I gotta book this, so we gotta break it down, though. But do you have any bits of wisdom or anything you want to say to the crowd? Any final words for the audience?
Butterscotch.
Why butterscotch?
You said if I had any final words.
I mean, soup
pot.
What's soup pot?
Final words.
My God! Thanks for coming in, Lilia.
You walked yourself right into that one.
I was expecting like respect teachers or respect your elders or something like that.
Oh no, I think you should respect anybody who deserves it.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There you go.
All right. If you like the video, please comment, share, subscribe, and always, y'all have a blessed day.
Turn on that bell for notifications.